Hey everybody, it's Glenn back in this video with the Rocketeer from Funko's Legacy Collection. And on the packaging back we have inset a photograph of the Rocketeer from the movie, and then the background of the packaging is that great stylized image of the movie poster. And regular viewers may have seen me pick this up at Forbidden Planet in one of my toy hunting videos. And I'm super pleased to be adding this to my collection, as this character's journey into plastic hasn't been one without hurdles. In fact, for the origins of this action figure we have to travel back to 2008, and not Funko but our good old friends Marvel Toys, aka Toy Biz. As we see here in this concept art via Action Figure Insider, but originally shown at Toy Biz's San Diego Comic-Con panel in 2008. And Rocketeer was to be included in their legendary comic book heroes line, which was a substitute line for Marvel Legends after the Marvel toy license had transferred from Toy Biz to Hasbro in 2007. Legendary comic book heroes follow Toy Biz's Marvel Legends formula of superposability and builder figures, except with characters ripped from the pages of various independent comic books. Yet without the mass marketability of mighty Marvel characters, the line languished, and eventually discount chains essentially gave them away. It was also cited that the Rocketeer's failure to appear in the line was owing to the complexity of rights, what with Disney owning movie and merchandising rights from the 1991 movie they made, which with the power of movies is likely how the character is best known, certainly to me at least, but he was a superhero in his own right long before then, first appearing on the comic page back in 1982. Yet the concept of the character takes him back to an even more bygone era, that of the 1930s and 1940s, or more specifically the Saturday matinee serials of that period. And that period costume detail is rendered really well in the sculpt and further accentuated by the deco, which gives the costume a lived-in feeling. Then his rocket pack, which is glued onto the action figure, has a great steampunk sentiment to it. And a great detail which I admit I initially thought was a paint splash, but is in fact representing that pink wad of gum that in the movie is used to cover a bullet hole to the rocket pack. Taking a closer look, and the head sculpt leaves a lot to be desired. It's got that Star Wars Black Series dead, soulless face with the eyes seemingly rolling back into the head. And honestly, it's one of those instances that makes me wonder, did Funko actually have the rights to use the actor's likeness? I mean, that's how little it looks like him. They've even given him blue eyes, whereas Billy Campbell, the actor, has brown eyes. So yeah, nothing like him, but am I the only one that sees a little bit of Christopher Reeves in this face sculpt? Yet this cruddy head isn't long for our gaze, as he comes with a helmet in the form of an interchangeable head. Which is the one we all really want to see, isn't it? So let's not waste time in popping this head off. Oh, it's proving a bit tricky, come on! Oh, rollicks. The pegs came away in the head and not stayed in the neck. I guess I could use some pliers to wrestle that peg from this head and place it in the helmeted head and then back in the neck, but I'm worried I'm going to damage that peg, so I'm going to leave the head and the body on my electric space heater for a few minutes to heat the plastic up enough to soften it. And with that softening and this twisty tie wrapped around the peg, it's going to enable me to pluck it out and then place it back into the base of the neck. There. But Funko, word of advice, this is something you should have worked out before it gets to the point that I'm having to. Let's place this helmeted head on anyway, and that's proving a struggle too, but here it is. And looking at it's washing away a great amount of that annoyance over the neck peg, as I love this. Just a really awesome Art Deco design with the sleekness of that fin reminding me of a car hood ornament. And that not so good unhelmeted head and the impracticality of the neck peg doesn't really matter, as this is the way I'm keeping this action figure permanently. The other head will be squirreled away in some drawer somewhere, likely to never see the light of day again. And for an accessory he comes with a gun which his right hand is sculpted trigger fingered to hold. It seems to be rendered in a dark charcoal plastic with brown paint applied for the wooden handle, then some silver paint dry brushed for a metallic look. Meanwhile, his left hand is sculpted in a really gestural pose that I like. Now looking at articulation, and his head rotates side to side as we saw when we swapped the heads. There is no neck hinge, it's just a ball peg, but there is some up and down movement of the head in spite of that. Plus the head does tilt side to side for a quizzical pose. Then at the shoulder, his arm rotates and it hinges up not quite a right angle to his body. There's rotation of the elbow, and then the elbow's also hinged, moving up and down. Then there's rotation at the wrist, and this is also hinged, moving up and down. There is no waist rotation, but if you look at his rocket pack strap there, that's hiding a rotating diaphragm joint, which also moves this far forward and then does move slightly back also. At his hips, the legs move out a fair amount, and they also move this far forward, and while they move only slightly back, there's upper leg rotation there. Not that you'd need to do a full rotation there, but that joint does feel sticky, and then there's a double jointed knee, and then at the ankle, the foot is hinged, moving backwards, forwards, plus it has an ankle rocker pivot that I love. And taking advantage of that pivot, this is him posed, standing at his widest stance possible, still with both feet flat on the floor. So all things considered, and I do give this Rocketeer a definite recommend. However, I do wish Funko would get their act together. That neck peg nonsense is just not good enough. But then I've reviewed some of their Legacy Collection action figures that have literally fallen apart in my hand mid-review, so at least Funko are heading in the right direction, I suppose. For both more of Funko's Legacy Collection and those quality control issues I just mentioned, click this video, and as ever, I hope to see you next time.